And now to tensions in the Korean Peninsula. We've got dramatic visuals from North Korea. The tin pot dictatorship seems to be preparing for war. What you see is the Hwasong-17 intercontinental ballistic missile. North Korea calls it the monster missile. It's the biggest in their arsenal. It can hit targets anywhere in the US. The images are powerful and the messaging is stern. North Korea is on a missile launching spree, and with each launch, it raises tensions in the peninsula. On Monday, the matter reached the United Nations Security Council, the body that debates everything but fails to change anything. It debated the Korean crisis too. Who is to blame for the rising tensions? That was the debate. The House, much like the world, was divided into two blocs. The US-led West and the Russia-China axis in the East. The UNSC discussion became a sparring contest. North Korea found two powerful backers, Russia and China, both permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, both with a veto power. Their support for North Korea enraged the US, and it did not pull any punches. Washington accused China and Russia of quote-unquote encouraging Pyongyang's missile launches. It said they were shielding North Korea from more sanctions.
We remain committed to diplomacy, and to that end, the Security Council must overcome its prolonged silence and speak out against the DPRK's destabilizing violations. The DPRK is testing the Council's resolve and purpose, and the Council must act.
And here's how Russia responded.
At the same time, we continue to see increasingly hawkish rhetoric. The intensity of the military exercises carried out by the United States and their allies goes unabated. On March 13th, the Freedom Shield, US and South Korea began exercises. A whole range of field exercises will also begin next week.
Meanwhile, China blamed the US for the rising tensions. It said America is being dangerous and hypocritical. Now, we agree, it is. But China should be the last one to lecture anyone on being dangerous or hypocritical. And China and Russia also brought up the AUKUS, you know, the military alliance between Australia, the UK and the US, the one that is giving nuclear submarines to Australia. China and Russia said the AUKUS was adding to the tensions. Meanwhile, the US and South Korea are holding joint drills. They call it the Freedom Shield. Everything is Hollywood, apparently. It's an 11-day exercise. It covers every possible scenario of war in the Korean Peninsula. And it's the largest one to be conducted in 5 years. Freedom Shield has rattled North Korea. Kim Jong-un has called for nuclear attack readiness. China has defended his missile launches. In fact, missiles have become synonymous with North Korea. And on Monday, Pyongyang made a big claim. It said more than 1.4 million people have enlisted in the military, and that they've joined to defend their country against America and other enemies. On Friday, remember, Pyongyang had said that it had enrolled over 800,000 citizens in the military. The state media is at pains to prove that all of this is voluntary. It says people want to, quote-unquote, unify the two Koreas and mercilessly wipe out the war maniacs. They tend to use dramatic language. They accused, and I'm quoting, US imperialists and the South Korean puppet traitors of trying to provoke a nuclear war. Amid this blame game, the US is preparing to slap more sanctions. The existing sanctions have already isolated North Korea from the rest of the world. It's called the Hermit Kingdom for a reason. And in defiance, it keeps firing more missiles. Pyongyang conducted more than 60 missile tests in 2022. And this year, it has already launched more than 17 missiles, 17. Some of these involved a single missile being fired, others saw multiple projectiles. Meanwhile, the Chinese and the Russians continue to add fuel to the fire. The fact of the matter is, neither side is playing a constructive role here. The Korean Peninsula is turning into a ticking time bomb.